Welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Rick Utze from Maranatha Community Fellowship in Plain City, Ohio. This past week we had someone from our church pass away. It was a friend, and we're all going to miss him. And during that time, as you watch the family and friends go through a time of sorrow, and it really is a time of hardship. But not only that, not only do we have sorrow and hardship, but it's also a time of joy because we know he knew Jesus Christ and he's with Jesus. He's in his presence because of the promises we have. And as I was thinking about that whole situation, we live on God's promises, not just his explanations, as I read in a devotional not too long ago. And even if God could explain all the dark times to us, we probably couldn't understand them in our humanness right now. But he does give us some great promises, and he tells us that we should live by faith and not by sight. That's in 2 Corinthians 5:7. But what does that mean? Live by faith and not by sight. And as I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about a trip that our church, some people in our church are planning for Africa, for Uganda, because my sister and her husband and family are there on missions. And I'm looking forward to it. It's a little over a year away yet. And I'm looking forward to seeing Bob and Julie and their kids, and I'm looking forward to seeing the friends that they made over there and those that they work with, and I'm looking forward to go over there and do missions with them and to see what we can do to just be with them and help out. And as I was thinking about that, I thought, wow, I don't even really know what it's like to live there. I don't know what it's going to mean when we get there. How do we handle the money? How do we get there? What's the culture like? What is all of this like? And I don't know. By sight, I just don't know everything that's going on over there. And yet I know Bob and Julie. So I have faith in Bob and Julie that they'll be able to go meet us, pick us up, handle the things that need to be handled to get them to the place, have a place to stay. All that stuff, I'm kind of depending on somebody I trust in. And I was also thinking of and looking forward to going on a safari while I'm there. Travel all that way. You got to spend a little bit of time to go look at God's creation and animals and everything that's going on. And I thought, am I crazy? I don't know anything about the terrain. I don't know anything about the land. I don't know anything about the animals. I really probably don't even understand all the dangers I'd be in. But as you go over there, if we go on a safari, we'd obviously have a guide that we would depend on for everything as we're out in that land and nature trying to find these animals. And as I thought about the guide, I don't think I'd be very comfortable if I went there and they said, oh, we just hired somebody from New York City, flew them over here. They've watched all the nature shows and they know what's going on. Yeah, go out with them. How many of you would be interested or would actually go out there if it was his first rodeo, out there in the wild? I know I wouldn't be comfortable, and I know I wouldn't want to spend my money on that guide, but I'm assuming that we have a guide who understands the terrain. He's grown up there. He knows the animal behavior. He knows what it means when he sees certain tracks and brush marks, and he knows where we can find animals. He knows that if we go out there, we want to see the animals that roam around out in Africa when we go on that safari. And as I was thinking about that, you depend on the guide for those things. You depend on the guide for your safety. You depend on that guide to be able to describe the nature you're seeing and to describe the world that you're walking or driving through. And I kind of relate that to God. God, this isn't his first rodeo. When we're walking through hard times, when we're walking through troubles, when we don't know what tomorrow brings, we don't live by sight, we live by faith. And it's faith in God. It's faith in the one who came down. It says in Hebrews 4:15, it says, "For we do not have a high priest," speaking about Jesus Christ, "who was unable to sympathize with our weaknesses. We have one who has been tempted in every way just as we are." It says, "Yet was without sin." And then we can go to the throne and ask with confidence, and receive grace and mercy in our time of need. When we need help, we get it from Jesus Christ because he walked where we walk. He's our creator. It isn't his first rodeo. People have been through these things for centuries, and God knows the help that we need before we even ask him. And so in Psalms 23:4, very, probably one of the most loved and well-known verses in the Bible, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you, and it's talking about our shepherd, our Lord, Jesus Christ, you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You can walk through the darkest time, and it says, for Jesus is with us. He is right there beside us, his rod and his staff. Generally when we fear bad things happen. We fear evil. And it's saying, hey, you don't have to. His rod and his staff, a shepherd's rod and staff were made to protect the sheep, to drive away the enemies, to drive away the wild animals that could harm the sheep. And Jesus says, I'm there with you. And so here's the bottom line. Do you know Jesus Christ? Do you know God the Father? If we truly know him, if we truly want to seek him and be in his word, he says, you have nothing to fear. It's not my first rodeo. I know what you're going through. I know what you need. I love you more than your own family members do. And he said that we have nothing to fear, and we can live and bank on Jesus Christ and his promises to us because they're good for our present need, and we have a great hope in the future. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Bottom Line.